Discipline is the foundation upon which every dream, every goal, and every success story is built. You can have all the ambition in the world, but if you don't have the discipline to act on it day after day, it means nothing. Discipline is doing what must be done, especially when you don't want to do it. It's the ability to control your emotions, to silence your excuses, and to keep showing up even when the excitement fades. Motivation might get you started, but only discipline will keep you moving when everything in you wants to stop. There will be days when you don't feel inspired, when your energy is low, and when your mind tells you to take it easy. Those are the days that truly define you. It's easy to act when you're motivated, but real strength is built in the moments when you're not. Discipline means showing up when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or uncertain. It's training your mind to follow through on your commitments, no matter how you feel in the moment. Every successful person you see has built their life on the back of discipline. They didn't rely on feelings. They relied on habits. They turned discipline into a lifestyle, not a temporary burst of effort. They trained themselves to wake up early, to study, to work, to create, and to improve even when no one was watching. Discipline becomes your greatest ally because it teaches you that results are not created by emotion. They're created by repetition and focus. Motivation can come and go in waves, but discipline keeps you steady through every storm. When others are distracted, discipline keeps you grounded. When others procrastinate, discipline keeps you productive. It's what separates dreamers from doers. Most people never reach their goals not because they lack ability, but because they never mastered consistency. Discipline ensures that no matter how small your progress may be, you're still moving forward. The truth is, your mind will always try to negotiate with you. It will say, you can do it tomorrow, or you deserve a break, or it's not the right time. Discipline ignores that voice. Discipline says, do it now. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It tells you what to do. It's a command over comfort, a choice to put purpose before pleasure. Every time you win that inner battle, you strengthen your willpower, and your willpower is what builds your destiny. Discipline transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. It turns potential into progress and intention into achievement. It's the difference between wishing and winning. Most people wait for a surge of inspiration before taking action, but those who succeed know that action comes first and motivation follows. The disciplined person acts first and feels later. That's why they always stay ahead. They don't wait for the right mood. They create it through action. When you're disciplined, you learn the power of structure and order. You set your schedule and stick to it. You guard your time like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. You don't waste hours scrolling, gossiping, or drifting aimlessly through life. You give direction to your day, purpose to your actions, and meaning to your choices. Discipline gives your life rhythm, and rhythm produces results. Discipline also teaches you patience. It reminds you that great things take time. You may not see progress immediately, but every small act compounds. Each disciplined decision builds momentum. Every time you choose to work instead of rest, focus instead of drift, or create instead of complain, you add another brick to the foundation of your success. Discipline might not bring instant gratification, but it guarantees long-term transformation. You'll come to realize that discipline is not a punishment. It's a form of self-respect. It's saying, I value my future too much to sabotage it for temporary comfort. It's a declaration that you are in control, not your moods, not your laziness, not your fears. Discipline is the highest form of self love because it prioritizes your growth over your impulses. It's not about being hard on yourself. It's about being committed to your purpose. And when you finally begin to live a disciplined life, you see the difference it makes. Your confidence grows because you trust yourself to follow through. Your focus sharpens because you're not pulled in 100 directions. Your results multiply because every day you're taking intentional steps forward. Discipline becomes your identity. It's no longer something you do. It's who you are. And that kind of power can change everything. You will never feel ready. That's one of the hardest truths to accept, but it's also one of the most freeing. People waste years of their lives waiting for the perfect moment, the right opportunity, or the ideal conditions before they act. They tell themselves they need more time, more knowledge, or more confidence. But what they don't realize is that readiness doesn't come before action. It comes because of it. The moment you start, you begin to grow. The moment you move, you begin to see clearly. The idea of being ready is a myth we create to protect ourselves from fear. It's fear disguised as logic. We say we're planning, but what we're really doing is procrastinating. The truth is every successful person you admire began before they were prepared. They stepped into the unknown, made mistakes, and learned along the way. They didn't wait for certainty. They built it through experience. The only way to become confident is to act in uncertainty until it no longer scares you. If you keep waiting for everything to line up perfectly, you'll never move. Life doesn't present perfect timing. It rewards bold timing. The longer you hesitate, the stronger your doubts grow. And the more you delay, the heavier the weight of inaction becomes. That's why most dreams die not, because people can't achieve them, but because they never start. Every second you hesitate is another moment you hand over to fear. Growth is not a comfortable process. It's not supposed to be. Growth is uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. You're stepping outside the safety of what you know into the stretch of what you could be. But that stretch is where greatness lies. The longer you avoid it, the more you delay your own transformation. The people who make an impact are not the ones who feel ready. They're the ones who have the courage to move forward while trembling. When you take action before you're ready, you activate momentum. And momentum is a force more powerful than motivation. Momentum turns uncertainty into confidence and doubt into drive. You may not know exactly how things will work out, but once you begin, solutions start to appear. Opportunities start to align. You attract clarity through motion. The act of moving forward reshapes your reality. What once felt impossible starts to feel inevitable. Every dream starts small, and every great achievement begins as a decision to begin. You don't need to know every step of the path. You just need to take the first one. You'll learn faster by doing than by endlessly preparing. Action reveals what thinking alone cannot. Each move you make, each risk you take gives you new insight, new feedback, new strength. You refine your vision as you go, not before you go. Waiting to feel ready is a form of self-doubt pretending to be wisdom. It tells you that you need more time, but really it's stealing your time. The most dangerous phrase you can ever say is, "I'll start when," because that moment will never come. There will always be another distraction, another excuse, another reason to delay. The secret is realizing that readiness is a feeling you create, not one you wait for. When you decide to start before you feel ready, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you think. You begin to trust your own resilience. You start to see that you can adapt, adjust, and overcome. Every challenge becomes a teacher. Every obstacle becomes a step up. The path becomes clearer, not because it changes, but because you do. You start to move with more confidence, not because life is easier, but because you've become stronger. Action has a way of silencing fear. The moment you begin, the noise in your mind starts to quiet. The what-ifs lose their power because you're no longer thinking about doing, you're actually doing. Fear feeds on hesitation, but it starves when you move. You realize that all those worst case scenarios were just illusions built by inaction. Once you begin, your fear becomes fuel and your movement becomes mastery. Readiness isn't about waiting for courage. It's about creating it through action. Every small step forward builds belief. Every risk you take expands your comfort zone. You grow not by thinking about success, but by stepping into it. When you take that first imperfect action, you set in motion a chain of events that lead you closer to the life you've been imagining. And it all starts with the simple, powerful decision to begin, especially when you don't feel ready. Your breakthrough lives beyond your excuses. Every time you tell yourself a reason why you can't do something, you build a wall between yourself and your potential. Excuses sound harmless, but they are dream killers dressed in logic. They make you feel justified in staying the same. You convince yourself that circumstances are the problem, that timing is the issue, or that someone else has it easier. But the truth is, the moment you take responsibility for everything in your life, you take back your power to change it. Excuses are comfortable because they protect you from accountability. They give you a reason not to try, not to risk, not to fail. They become a shield that keeps you from facing discomfort. But every excuse you make is a missed opportunity to grow. The person you could become is waiting behind the very thing you keep avoiding. The fear, the laziness, the doubt, all of it hides your greatness behind false justification. You don't need a better reason to act. You just need to stop believing the reasons not to. Every time you choose an excuse, you strengthen weakness. Every time you reject one, you strengthen discipline. That's how the transformation happens, not in huge leaps, but in small moments where you decide, I'm not going to let this excuse run my life anymore. Your excuses might sound personal, but they're not unique. Everyone has them. The only difference is that the people who succeed don't negotiate with them. They do it anyway. Think about the stories you tell yourself. I don't have enough time. I don't know where to start. It's too late. These are not facts, they're beliefs. They're mental traps that keep you in the same cycle. The truth is, you make time for what matters. You find a way when it's important enough. You create opportunity through effort. The minute you decide to stop letting excuses dictate your direction, your life begins to move forward again. You can't have progress and excuses at the same time. You must choose one. Excuses keep you safe, but they also keep you small. They protect your ego, but they rob you of evolution. They whisper that comfort is better than challenge, but deep down you know that's a lie. Growth demands discomfort, and discomfort demands courage. When you're brave enough to step beyond your reasons, you step into your potential. Excuses often come disguised as logic, and that's why they're dangerous. They make sense in your head. They feel valid. You might even convince yourself that they're temporary, but every day you feed them, they grow stronger. Every time you accept them, they build roots in your mindset. You start believing that success is for other people, that life is unfair, that your situation is special. But the truth is, every person who has ever achieved greatness had reasons not to, but they did it anyway. Your breakthrough begins when you confront your excuses head on, when you hear the voice that says, I can't. and you respond, I will. When you catch yourself saying, it's too hard, and you remind yourself, that's exactly why I must. The more you face resistance, the more you strengthen your will. Every time you break through an excuse, you build a new level of self-trust. You start believing that you can handle whatever comes next. Most people want transformation without the tension that comes before it. They want results without resistance, change without challenge. But it doesn't work like that. You cannot evolve without friction. Excuses keep you where it's easy, but breakthroughs are born where it's difficult. The moments that feel hardest are the ones carrying your biggest growth. That's where you separate from who you've been and step into who you're meant to become. There will always be reasons to wait, to rest, to give up, to slow down. Your mind will always find a way to justify comfort. But if you keep choosing comfort, you'll never know your true capacity. You'll never know how strong, capable, and resilient you really are. The person who stops making excuses begins to see the world differently. Obstacles stop looking like dead ends and start looking like tests of faith, tests of consistency, tests of belief. Your breakthrough doesn't happen when conditions are perfect. It happens when you finally stop explaining your limitations and start proving your strength. It happens the moment you silence the inner voice that says, I can't, and replace it with action that says, watch me. It's waiting on the other side of the excuses you've been holding onto. And once you push through them, you realize they were never walls. They were just illusions keeping you from everything you were created to be. Force creates momentum, and momentum creates freedom. The moment you push yourself to take that first uncomfortable step, something shifts. Action has energy, and energy multiplies once it's released. The hardest part is always the beginning. Getting started when you don't feel like it. Pushing forward when nothing seems to move. But when you force yourself to take that initial step, you begin to move the wheel of progress. And that motion changes everything. The more you move, the easier it becomes to keep going, and soon the effort that once felt impossible becomes part of your rhythm. Momentum doesn't come to the passive, it belongs to the persistent. When you force yourself into action, you awaken power that was lying dormant within you. You begin to realize that waiting for inspiration is weakness, but creating it through movement is mastery. That's how momentum is born, from small, deliberate acts of will. One action leads to another. And soon you're no longer forcing yourself to move. You're pulled by the drive that your own consistency created. At first, you may not see progress. It might feel like your efforts aren't making a difference. But momentum isn't built in a day, it's built through repetition. Every time you choose to act instead of delay, every time you take another small step when it would be easier to stop, you're adding pressure to the system. You're stacking energy. And just like a snowball rolling down a hill, what starts small begins to grow in power and speed until it becomes unstoppable. There's a freedom that comes with momentum, a sense that nothing can hold you back anymore. When you move with purpose every single day, you stop depending on external motivation to keep you going. You become your own fuel source. You don't wait for permission, encouragement, or validation. You've already built your own engine through discipline, and it keeps pushing you forward even when conditions aren't perfect. Momentum changes how you see challenges. What once looked like a wall now feels like a speed bump. You no longer overthink every decision because movement has trained you to trust yourself. You stop analyzing and start acting. You don't have time to doubt. You're too busy doing. That's the power of momentum. It replaces hesitation with confidence and turns fear into focus. The more you move, the more certain you become of where you're headed. Force is the price you pay at the start. It's the push that gets the wheel turning. The first steps require grit, effort, and determination. But once the wheel is in motion, it begins to carry you forward. That's why so many people stay stuck. They never apply enough force to break free from inertia. They stop just before the breakthrough. But when you push a little harder, stay a little longer, and keep going a little further, you reach the point where your momentum starts doing the work for you. Every person who has achieved greatness knows the taste of resistance. They've felt the weight of doubt, the drag of fatigue, and the pull of comfort. But they also know the thrill of momentum, the rush that comes when their consistent effort finally turns into unstoppable movement. It's the moment when the grind turns into flow, when the struggle turns into strength. That feeling doesn't come from luck. It comes from force. It comes from refusing to stop when your mind tells you to rest. Momentum gives you control over your direction. It allows you to steer your life with intention instead of reacting to circumstances. Once you have momentum, opportunities start finding you, doors start opening, and people start noticing. But none of that happens until you've proven to yourself that you're willing to push. The effort always comes before the ease. The force always comes before the freedom. You earn momentum through movement, not by wishing for it. There's a quiet power that comes from being in motion every day. You stop waiting for results and start enjoying the process. You start measuring progress not by how far you've come, but by the fact that you're still moving forward. You realize that success is not one big event. It's the accumulation of all the small moments when you forced yourself to act. Each of those moments adds up, creating the unstoppable rhythm that carries you toward your vision. The beauty of momentum is that once it's built, it starts working for you. The habits you once struggled to maintain become automatic. The actions you once resisted become natural. You start living with flow, direction, and purpose. And all of it began the day you stopped waiting for the right time, the day you forced yourself to move. Because when you take control of your actions, you take control of your destiny, and from that point on, momentum becomes your greatest freedom.